You're going to start seeing a lot more banks suing and collection companies suing on debt that they've been ignoring for the last 10 years or so. We're already seeing it. The banks are scrambling. Banks are going out of business. During 2008 crash, we had, I can't remember, it was 100 something banks that failed. And it was like $300 billion total. We've already had 3 banks fail this year alone, and it's already over $450 billion of lost money. Lost in quotations because, the government bails out the banks and they bails out the people with money in the bank. It wasn't really lost, but people lost their job for sure. And so banks are starting to sue, and I'm seeing banks sue as little as $500 owed. There is no statute of limitations whatsoever on debt. None. You will owe that money to the rest of your life until you die, pay it, or file bankruptcy. And even when you die, sometimes it goes to your estate and your kids have to pay the debt. Depends on where you live. There is no statute of limitations on debt. Statute of limitations on whether or not they can sue you. And in most states, it's between 4 and 7 years. If they sue you, they can garnish you and they can levy your bank accounts and put liens on everything you own, including your cars, your houses, and in some states, your retirement accounts. So you got to be really careful with this debt, because if you just ignore it, it can come back and cost you a lot of money. And I didn't bring up debt owed to the IRS, because if you're not paying your taxes, worse yet, your employer tax if you have employees, that can get really expensive with fees, interest, and penalties. If you owe more than $1,000 right now, whether it's collection, an old charge off, most likely 9 times out of 10, you're going to get sued on it now, because banks are suing 90% of the time if you owe more than $1,000. And they're suing because they know if they sue you and they pay the filing fee, the attorney, the service fee, that they're going to get a default judgment from you, because you most likely will not go to court because you don't want to deal with stress. You might not even get served. They might mail you a letter. They might not do anything. They might not even tell you about the court date. And then you wake up one morning, all the money in your bank account's gone. I've had this happen to me. Been a while. It happened to me in 2005 to 2008 constantly. And I learned how to make it stop through opening different bank accounts. And I learned a strategy on that. And eventually I got it all fixed. I woke up before and I got my paycheck and half my money's gone due to garnishment. That sucks, because how are you going to pay your bills if they levy your bank account and they garnish your wages? And once they levy your bank account or garnish your wages, you can't stop it unless you file bankruptcy. That's the only way to stop it. Pay it or you file bankruptcy once they've sued you. If you have debt right now for more than $1,000, you need to contact my office so we can put you in touch with our law firms and our paralegal so we can settle that debt for you. Next week, I'll talk how debt settlement works and how the process works. But in the meantime, if you owe more than $1,000, contact the office so we can get you in touch with Tina, our paralegal, and get that debt settled before they sue you. Because once they sue you, there's not a lot you can do, because they've already got the court to stamp it, to rubber stamp it. You owe it. They can now legally garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. Now, each state has a little bit different rules. I'll give you an example. In Florida, they can't garnish your wages if you are the main breadwinner for the family. So if most of the money's from you, so if you're married, let's say that the husband makes more money than the wife and they garnish the husband and he makes more than the wife, well, they can't legally garnish you. And so we get those garnishments reversed all the time and stop, because they still do it. The courts allow it because our client did not go to court and dispute the garnishment. So if you don't go and stand up for your rights, the courts don't care. They just rubber stamp it because they make millions upon millions of dollars in filing fees. California alone makes almost $10 million a year in bogus filing fees. $10 million just in fees, allowing collection companies to sue poor people, because they're not suing the wealthy, because the wealthy have attorneys and they stop it and they fix it, but they're suing the working poor, and the government doesn't care because it's all about dollars for them. So don't wait until it's too late to stop the lawsuit. So if you owe more than $1,000, give us a call. We'll help you out as much as we can.